So you want to use Autopilot, see? Well, let's find out. Alright, so let's talk about how to use the basics of Autopilot in both Flight Sim X as well as X-Plane 11 and 10. And it's pretty much the same system. Alright, so we're going to jump into Flight Sim first and then X-Plane after. But first, let's just look at the three basic elements we're going to be going over today. We're going to go over how to adjust speed with the auto throttle, the heading, and the automatic vertical speed / altitude hold. All right, let's get started and hop in to our wonderful 737 in Toronto. All right, and here we are in Flight Simulator X. And today we're going to be using the 737-800 series, which is the stock aircraft. And the easiest way to use Autopilot is in the 2D cockpit mode. So default, that's F10. And here we are. We have our Autopilot panel right here. So as mentioned in the intro, we have our speed, so indicated airspeed or Mach number, it's speed, your heading, as well as your altitude. Again, we aren't going to be going over courses or VORs or anything today. We're just going over our three main instruments, all right? And an altitude also has vertical speed. We'll go over that in a minute. So, to be able to use your speed, you need to have auto throttle armed. However, we will wait for that in the air. Let's get the airplane airborne and we can go over a little bit more while in the air. Alright, so now we are in the air and we don't want to use our trim or keep the aircraft steady for 2 hours or however long our flight is. So let's turn on Autopilot. And Flight Sim, I believe it's Z, or you can just press the Autopilot on button, which I'll show you in a second here. Now, I'm going to pause the sim, press P. First thing I'm going to do is set altitude. So then the aircraft doesn't dive, etc. So our altitude is right here, where it says altitude, plus and minus. We can add feet. So again, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, etc. Let's say we want to go up to 5,000 feet. So keep pushing until it gets up to 5,000. Come on, you can do it. The more you press, the higher the interval gets. There we go, 5,000. If you notice here, on our display, 5,000, we saw it go up there, so that's confirmed. We got 5,000 feet. So, when I engage Autopilot and I press altitude hold, we'll go up to 5,000 feet. So I'll unpause it. Autopilot engaged. Altitude hold. Vertical speed. Now 18,000 feet a minute. And of course you can increase it and decrease it with our little toggle here. Next thing I'm going to talk about is the speed. I'm going to skip heading for a second just because we're in a climb. So speed is quite simple as well, just like heading and altitude here. You're going to use your little toggle and choose the speed you want to fly at. And again, down here we can see that we have our little purple guy here that is corresponding with our Autopilot. And let's say we want to go around 240 knots. All right. Now, if I press this, nothing will happen right now. That is because the auto throttle is not armed. This guy right here. So now the aircraft can control the throttle. I unpress pause here, press this guy, and you can see that the aircraft will now try to maintain this airspeed. That's 2 out of 3 done. Now let's talk heading. So our heading, press pause again, is of course heading of the aircraft. So right now we can see that we're heading 332. If I want to have this heading, right now it's on north. Let's go to 332. There we go. And we saw this purple line here, and that's of course the setting. So now we know that if I unpause it, it'll be going to the setting. And now we have all three settings set to what we want. We have speed set, our heading set, and our altitude set. Perfect. To change these, all you have to do is literally just change where you want. So let's say if we get above 10,000 feet, you can go above 250 knots, like that, and you'll see this little pipper here, and the aircraft will throttle up to meet that. Also for heading, no sweat. We can go to 347, and you see our little purple line here, it moved. The aircraft will slowly begin to turn into that new line, that new heading. Same with altitude. If we want to, let's say go back down to, we need to go up to is 4,000. We saw that right there. The aircraft will change that now as well. Boom, flight director, we can see what's going on here. So this is the basics of how to use an autopilot in a flight simulator. We'll go over X-Plane in a second. But again, this is the basics, right? So again, your speed, your heading, and your altitude. On a lot of aircraft too, so for airliners, you can also check your Mach numbers. So right now, 250, 0.4 Mach for our current settings in the sim. And for heading, we can actually change our turn bank angle. See the 10 and 30 here. We can switch our bank angle. So if you want a 30-degree bank instead of a 10, we can do that as well. And like we said before, we can actually change our altitude, vertical speed, this little guy right here. I just want to show you something quickly in an Airbus for a second. Okay, the reason why I want to show you the stock A321 for a second is that right here when I push the autopilot button, awesome, but for some reason, even if I say auto throttle, things aren't working, right? So I have everything set. That's because with the Airbus model, you actually have to press the center. You can kind of see it ding in here in the center. So the button itself, same with this guy. And now you can see that all three are set. It's because the actual button to set them is in the center. So it's the actual knob itself is the setting button. And of course, you still have your Mach and auto throttle right here, and your autopilot master right here, your vertical speed here. Every aircraft is different, as you know, and this is how you do the Airbus stock A321 in flight sim. Let's go over to X-Plane quickly and see the changes. Alright, here we are in X-Plane 11, exactly the same airplane, stock 737-800 series, just flying out of Toronto Pearson right now. And again, let's talk about if there's any changes here for this autopilot, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. So I'm just going to pause the sim here for a second, and I'm going to shimmy on over. So then we have the center of the panel right here. The nice thing about X-Plane is that everything's nice in 3D. All right, so as you can see, there's a little bit of change here compared to good old flight sim. All right, again, we're going to only be going over the basics. So our speed, heading, and altitude. All right, so this is our current situation right here, 3,500 feet climbing and around 210 knots. All right, so to engage the autopilot, again, you have two in this one. We're just going to use this one, doesn't matter. You literally just push the button here. So on pause for a sec, green light, that means it's working. Perfecto. All right, so like before, heading 325 right now. Let's actually, yeah, I'll do our heading. All right. So just like before, our little knob here. So let's go left, and we can correspond with our little nub here, little purple guy. Left to 325. There you go. So now we know that these two meet. And if you want the aircraft to follow the heading, all you have to do is say heading select. I paused it for a second, and it will fly in that heading now. Perfecto. All right. Altitude and speed are interesting in X-Plane. I'll explain why. Let's say our altitude, let's go up to 5,000 again. Just like in flight sim. Bring it back down. Let's say you can also hold it. It's a lot faster if you just hold it there. There you go. Let's say 5,000 feet. Altitude hold. Cool beans. All right, so that is looking good too. And last but not least, we have our speed. Let's say we want to go back up to, again, you can just hold it now. Let's say 245 just to be safe. So we're under the 250 knot. And speed is going. Why isn't it not going? It's because auto throttle is not armed. Now it will go. Perfecto. All right, so if this was flight sim, you would expect the aircraft to just go. But all of a sudden, what is this? Why are we going down now? What is going on? That is because with the 737 and X-Plane, there's a little button here that says change level, or level change, I guess you could say. So now the aircraft, the throttle, will actually throttle, so then we go up to the speed, and it sets the proper airspeed to maintain our current speed, everything else. Cool. Once we get to 5,000 feet, you saw it kind of switch back there, give it a minute. Again, this is kind of a bad example because, yeah, I kind of did that last minute. But you can see how X-Plane is a little bit more complicated than its predecessor, for sure. So I'm just letting the aircraft just do its thing here for a minute. Let's just get it all nice and evened out. So now, there you go. So it's stabilized, correct heading, correct altitude, and the correct airspeed is down. So everything's looking good. Last but not least, with X-Plane, well, let's turn flight director on for a sec. Yeah, sure. There you go. With X-Plane, of course, vertical speed is a thing as well. So let's say we want to go down 1,000 feet a minute. Booyah. Perfecto. It's that easy, just like flight sim right there. And of course, since auto throttle's on, it'll auto throttle down, and it pops your uncle. So that's the basics of how to wonderfully use the autopilot in flight sim as well as X-Plane. If you have any questions, leave them below, and have a great day. Happy landings.